Welcome to the Purdue basketball beat.
I think it's listed as a handsome hour.
I think it's a basketball beat. I'm going to give it to them.
It's a basketball beat. Episode 1 of the
reboot.
Exactly.
The reboot.
Available on Disney Plus.
Basketball beat
exclusively
V2.
available on Disney Plus.
Of course, no one is
blackout period. What's that?
I will note, Anish, nobody's in the margin. Usually by now we've got people. Of course, we did the smartest thing I think when you do one of these is don't tell anybody it's coming. Keep it as quiet as you can.
I put out a tweet.
Don't publicize it.
Listen, when everyone is out there trying to market things and trying to gain exposure and all of that, you've got to swim against the tide.
Exactly.
And you got to do what no one else is doing. And what no one else is doing is not marketing their
thing. An unlisted link. It's very hard to find it.
Taking a 1-year break from a show. That type.
And then just popping up and introducing it as if I've been here this whole time.
I love it.
Silent partner. You're more of a silent partner anyway.
Well, I have curtailed my Twitter usage, which was my loudest forum for.
That's the smartest thing to do, by the way. We should.
My mental health is just.
It's still in the toilet, you look beautiful.
So.
Since the Twitter's gone, look at you. Gosh.
I know. He's lost weight. He looks more healthy.
I have not lost weight, and I am far less healthy.
But you're off Twitter.
I'm wearing a hat.
Right.
So
that changes the whole look.
That changes.
Well, you're covering up your hair, which the hat's good. Put the hat back.
Yeah, the hat.
I'm going for in honor of the Deadpool trailer. I'm going for a Wolverine look.
Yeah. So is it Hugh Jackman in the Deadpool? Is that
right?
Yeah.
As Wolverine. It's going to be but there was no that trailer was one of those that I have no idea what's going on. No clarity.
Right.
But it was the first trailer, so they'll have more later. I don't know when the movie's supposed to come out.
I think it's July Oh yeah. Yeah, there's lots of time.
There's lots of time.
If it's Deadpool, it's going to be funny though.
Yeah, it'll be pretty good.
I'm
pretty good. Purdue basketball.
Purdue's pretty good.
Good segue.
Good segue.
Man, he still got it.
Take a year off, and then you just come back with segues
Yeah. I just pop on the court and just start draining threes. That's what I do.
You're like the Miles Colvin of our team.
Yeah.
Everybody clamors for more time, and then when you come on, you just deliver.
Let me tell you about Miles. Here's the thing.
Okay.
There's been several times this season where he's had the opportunity to just destroy the rim, and it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Next season, that dude is going to be putting up a highlight a game. You can just tell that
if he got more than 4 minutes a game, he might put him up now.
It's hard to get minutes on this team. This team is pretty good.
I know, but what I think, and I think we talked about this the last show, but to come in and he'll have 3 to 7 minutes when he does play, and he always hits 1 or 2 threes, or has a chance at a dunk, and it's
Paint's nice job. Come over and sit next to me.
Exactly, you broke a sweat. Come on over here. But that's amazing, man. I don't know. To be microwave hot right away. That's amazing.
It's a mentality thing. It's a he knows that he's good enough.
Yeah, but imagine sitting. Imagine I understand
sitting for a week.
Right.
But players all over the country come into teams and they think they're going to get a bunch of minutes and they don't. And then you put them in and they're tentative
That's what I mean.
And this, he's one of the few that Ivy was the same way. And just you put him in for a little bit and he just goes out.
But Ivy never lacked for minutes.
Ivy had the mentality. He did not have the stroke, especially as a freshman. Right. He would come in and at times, other times, man, he was electric though. He was fun. So it's gonna be fun. There's one of the, I don't know if he works for Purdue. One of the photographers, I think I said to all you guys
Stein?
No, not Stein. One of the other guys, but he put together that fast shutter video.
Right. That wasn't video at all. It was all individual photos.
But it was all dudes above the rim, right?
Way above the rim.
Holy moly.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh darn it. It's
that is something that you couldn't say about a Purdue team 10 years ago. Just this year.
It's weird to be that athletic as a Purdue team. I'm not going to lie. It's still a very unusual feeling.
Yeah.
It's still kind of funny that the reputation for Purdue being a real slow, unathletic below the rim team is still kind of out there.
Why is
But
that weird?
they have some guys.
Aside from Carson Edwards and Smooge, I guess, and there's been a few guys, but like,
But Smooge was never like a above
right.
the rim guy.
No,
I guess
he was slow.
you're making my point here. I don't think that reputation was not well earned.
Oh, very well earned.
Jacob Lawson.
Speaking of someone Michael loves,
I thought about him earlier this week because of
course you did.
When Purdue was pasting
selling
IU.
insurance somewhere. I imagine.
Yeah, well, hopefully. When Purdue was pasting IU Twitter fans were posting about their biggest win over Purdue, and that came like in Lawson's final season with Purdue, and when he stole the ball from Zeller and had that great dunk. I remember that feeling. I was like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was all downhill after that.
It's going to be great. Can't wait. Can't wait till what's next.
This is great.
When he's at
And
high
then
point.
everything just fell apart.
Yeah.
They were talking about their best wins over Purdue during that game.
Listen, if you're an IU fan, what else are you going to talk about?
I don't know. I just would stop talking. That's always an option.
No, well, no.
No.
It's Twitter and it's
Well,
IU fans. Like, what are you
right.
expecting?
Right.
There's nothing to say anymore, man. There's nothing to say. So, since we always spend some time on IU, I want a consensus here. Is Mike Woodson getting fired?
No.
I built on this. No.
Should Mike Woodson be getting
year
fired?
3.
Yes.
It's year
Don't-
3, and he's an alum.
I don't think he's going to get fired, but
Uh-oh. See, I could just see you stroking your beard. So that was working. Anisha's in a part of Western Pennsylvania that lacks for internet. It's the hills affected.
He's got a guy that he's hired that's out like turning a crank outside, and the dude was on break apparently. So.
I wanted to hear what he was going to say. He said someone earlier asked if we were going to let Anish talk, which makes it sound like we put Anish in a corner and don't let him speak, which I think we all know.
No one puts the nation in the corner.
But Woodson, okay, I said will he be? Should he be fired? He should, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, if you're being objective, bye Anish. There he is. He's back.
Yeah.
He's not doing very much with a lot of talent, and he's getting absolutely just hammered by Purdue.
Yeah.
Like hammered by Purdue. Boy, had a great thing in his quickcast today saying that I love this point because I think they all think when Edey leaves that's the end of this.
It's the end.
They definitely think that. A lot of the
Yeah,
Big Ten
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, and
I'm
we're
telling you,
guilty
I
of
heard
this
it from
too.
3 different people that were in different demographics. And I was
Right.
like, this must be a talking point. This
Well,
must
and
be a
your point
Twitter
was
talking
they're not going to be number 1 most likely next year. But the idea that this isn't going to continue is nonsense.
hold on. Let's try this again.
much
Hello,
better.
can you hear me?
Oh,
Okay, very
wow.
good.
Welcome,
point.
Anish.
So while I'm not going to abide by your smart-ass comments while the internet is still working, I'm just going to get my point out real quick.
Right?
I don't.
He's got to be fast.
I know exactly. I don't think it's against the. It's not. It's unlikely that they fire him after the year unless there's no. Unless they basically bottom out and lose out.
Right.
But
Pull
I
a
don't
Michigan.
think it's. I don't think it's out of the question that he retires. Like I don't think it's out of the question that he
He
steps
sees
away.
the writing on the wall and says,
Exactly.
I'm not going to
And
make them fire me.
sees that he's a lame duck coach, sees that there's Dusty May out there as a potential viable option, and
Dusty
just
May
walks
talk?
away.
I don't know.
And I don't care. I was wrong
Dusty
about
May,
Archie, so
he
yeah.
fired Dane Fife for daring to challenge him. Right. This is there's an ego at play here.
I
And-
would
and
love.
ego doesn't
yeah.
let people walk away.
I don't know. I think, but also ego it's really hard to fight the win total number. You know what I mean? Even for ego, right? And then you might see what's happening to Jawan and say hey, maybe I don't want that kind of an ending. At the alma mater.
Everybody wants a happy ending.
That's all very rational. But listen to his post game comments. It's not his fault that they're losing. It's the players aren't trying hard enough. This is not a guy that has accepted his responsibility.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's
Isn't it? When you hear
It's kind of
both Howard
crazy
and
the things
Woodson,
he's been
right?
saying.
Both of them are doing that. They're both throwing their players under the bus.
I mean, it's not out of the question that Ohio State, Michigan, IU, and Louisville all open this offseason. I think it's unlikely. It's less likely than more that all 4 will be open. But that would be wild. That would be
Ohio State and Louisville have to open up, right? They have
I don't know
Ohio
about
State
Louisville. You
definitely
think
has
you think Louisville's a
Well,
definite?
I think
Oh,
Louisville
yes.
is number one on that list.
I did
Yes.
too. I did too.
Really?
Oh yeah. You can't.
I know they've been
it's done.
terrible, but what is it? 2 seasons? That's a
But,
short.
I mean, he should have been fired last year.
one
just
season. You
yes.
never.
Rick Pitino's
Not like
right
it was
there.
a rebuild. I mean, it's Louisville.
Petito's
They got-
right there.
Rick
That
Pitino's
would be.
right there.
That would be
Oh,
awesome.
that'd be amazing.
I want
That
it.
would be.
That would be incredible. It's like, it's only a matter of time before Petrino's back at Arkansas, right? Something like that's gonna.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. It's not exactly. It's everything that's old is new again.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so.
When will
of
Beard
those
be back at
four-
Texas?
So that's the thing. Well, hey, it will be if all four of those open. Will Beard get one of those jobs? Oh, how quick we forget. So,
Beard at Indiana. I think we've talked about that. Yeah, that terrifies me.
I
but
want
of
any
the four jobs that could open, I think IU is probably at the bottom of that list. Like, I think they are most likely to let him roll another year.
Oh,
You
okay.
think
Bottom in terms of likely to open.
likelihood? Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
like,
Ohio
I think,
State is the most likely to open.
I think Louisville. I think
No,
Louisville's.
I think Ohio
clear
State's more
number one,
likely
but-
than Louisville.
Yeah.
Just because this is Holtman's second terrible year, and he's been there what,
Terrible.
5 or 6 years at
Do
least.
you remember how bad Louisville was last year?
I do. They're like 4
I
and
mean,
23 or something.
historically awful for Louisville, right? And this is a program that's been pretty
Yeah, but
consistently good.
Kenny Payne, like, man, he's like kind of a
know.
legend in
I
Kentucky.
know.
But you have to think: is the Louisville athletic department stable enough to do that?
Yes.
Meanwhile,
Because they got
Ohio.
money. They got money.
Meanwhile, Ohio State just hired Texas A&M's guy, so who the heck knows what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, to be their athletic director, it doesn't make any sense. There's no ties
Makes a
to
ton
it.
of sense. Perfect sense.
It's money. It's the fundraising, right? It's the money spigot and so maybe Ohio State is at the top just because there's a new AD. He's itching to make a new big hire, a big splash, and fail upwards yet again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jason Ringer talks about Pitino going back to being OC at Arkansas. I mean, like that's exactly that old is new thing. It's wild. It works about. Do you think it works more than half of the time when a guy goes back to his old
Does it?
stomping ground?
No, it works like 25% of the time.
You think?
Kansas
Yeah,
State,
that
right?
might be-
Snyder is the best example, I think. Where
Oh, if we're talking about football, what's his face is back
Any-
at Rutgers. That's been seamless.
Right,
I
yes.
do
Shiano.
have to
Actually-
admit, Shiano has worked out better than I thought it.
He's perfect for Rutgers. He's
Right,
perfect.
right.
They love him there.
he knows what he's getting into. Yep.
He knows the formula there to be like a bowl team, which is all you need to do at Rutgers. Like
I mean, I think
you
that's-
talk about. I mean, they will never get tired of winning 6 games and going to a bowl.
So we should be thankful for the stability at the coach. I mean, if you look at the teams that are successful, it really does come down to stability in the coaching ranks.
I mean,
And Matt
so
Painter,
to-
like riding through some rough spots, but coming
Oh,
out the other side.
And meanwhile, Kentucky is losing their patience with Calipari, which I know none of us care that much about Kentucky or Calipari, but I am now getting to the point where they're a program to me where it's like I kind of want them to push them out now.
I
Let's
want
see
to
what
do it
happens.
because I think it's death to a program when you push out
Yes,
a Hall
correct.
of Famer. So I want them to do it.
Are they smart enough to know that?
but I think
I don't think so.
once we get to our final 4 picks, when March rolls around, it'll be there. But like Calipari's got his best team in a long time this year.
Right, but
I mean,
but
that
they're
team's
the
dangerous.
Barbarians are at the gate now, man.
Yeah.
It's Kentucky, man.
Because they had a
It's
couple bad
Kentucky.
losses. They lost 3 times at Rupp in a row for the first time in
That's
some,
tough.
maybe not ever, but like some insanely, definitely under Calipari.
It's a weird season. Like Kansas is like what 1-4 on the road in the Big 12.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know what?
there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
This brings me to a point that I think I said to you guys in our chat. I wanted to talk about this on the pod. The trendy thing, and this happens whenever the Big Ten isn't like world dominating. Everybody wants to, and again, you know me, you know how much I love to cheer for the conference.
Go
but-
Conference.
Well, but it's obviously a way to undercut anyone's success within that conference when you act like, well, it's terrible, it's trash conference. That's become like a trendy thing to say, especially this year. I mean, even us, we were all like, man, there's just not that many good teams. They're gonna get like 6 teams in the tournament. It's not like a 9-10.
And really, you said this other day. I think only 4 have earned their way in right now.
Sure. Oh, you look down to the 6th, you're like, ooh, they're gonna
Yeah.
Michigan
Yeah,
State,
it's
15 and
pretty
9.
ugly.
You're gonna go to the okay.
You
So-
see Northwestern's ratings according to like net and The analytics, it's
They
not
beat the
good.
number one team in the nation. But if they finish fourth in the Big Ten and they have 20-something wins, you're not going to keep them out. And they're over
they're
500 in the
definitely in.
conference. You're definitely going.
Right.
But
But
my point
could
is,
see- Yeah, go ahead.
the Big Ten is not that bad. And all this talk about, oh, they're so bad this year. What did we agree? The Big 12 is better this year, and that's about it. That's about it. I don't even think the ACC is clearly better. I don't think that the SEC definitely isn't.
Pac-10.
Like, yeah.
They have Man, I don't know. I guess a lot of this is subjective, but I'll have a random Big Ten game on in the background when I'm out doing stuff at night, and these games are just bad.
I agree, but maybe that's college basketball right now.
It is. Yeah. It is because I watched a couple games last night, and I'm completely unimpressed with what I see from teams that are like top 10. Right? How about this question? Because this I think this dovetails with what we're talking about. How many times have we seen? Remember last year there was that one Saturday night where like 9 out of the top 10 teams lost. Yeah. Purdue was one of them.
Yeah.
But this year it seems like every night there's college basketball, you're going to have 2 of the top 10 teams lose. Like it happens over and over and over. And how many times have we seen this where a team is kind of like just a middling, they're 15th or something. Then they go on like a 2 or 3 game tear. And all of a sudden, they're like, here they come. Everybody gets excited, and then they fall right back to where they were, right? I mean, like, I think it's a testament to the parity of the game right now, right?
Well,
so really quickly, KenPom does have conference strength rankings. Yeah. Like you said, number 1 is the Big 12, pretty easily. Number 2, a surprise number 2 until I clicked and I remembered the teams that were in it, and I was like, oh, yeah, they're probably 2. No, the Big East. So a clear number 2. Exactly. That was the reaction because Connecticut, UConn, Marquette, Creighton, Seton Hall, even Xavier and Butler are doing well.
But
like these
but
are
isn't
good
the bottom
teams.
A lot of garbage?
Yeah.
Bottom's a lot of trash.
Right. And that's the difference between the Big Ten and the Big East.
The bottom of the Big Ten, and like you said this, I think also on the Quickcast, like the bottom of the Big Ten, okay, you got Michigan, who, yes, is a garbage team this year, but they're loaded with talent. Yeah. If they have a night when they put it all together, they'll beat anybody in the conference if they had it all put together one night, and that's not going to happen in the Big East.
Talent is not the current Big Ten's issue. I mean, that is for sure not the case. And then 3rd and 4th. 3rd is the SEC, the 4th is the Big Ten, but they're pretty even.
Wow,
like
SEC
if you look at
the
kind of ratings, it's pretty. It's like a hair. But yeah, it's so.
I guess the SEC has Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina is actually surprisingly good.
Bama's good. I mean, like Bama, South Carolina, Auburn, like
because you're talking about their top 4, let's say, and then for the Big Ten, you're talking about Nebraska and Northwestern in that talk. So like, okay,
exactly. Once you hit 3 and 4 in the Big Ten, it gets kind of ugly.
There's really how many teams do we think legitimately could make the Sweet 16 from the Big Ten? 2,
I actually think
3.
I think Purdue and Northwestern are your best bets to make the.
Oh, see, when you're betting on Northwestern,
but don't you agree? Guard play.
I mean,
they're a perfect tournament team.
It's some combination of Purdue, Wisconsin, Northwestern.
Wisconsin is circling the drain, man.
Illinois. I'm telling you, those 4 are legit.
Illinois. I would, if Nebraska can make the tournament, like I wouldn't go against them getting hot again. But these are not sure. These are not surefire bets. These are like they have to catch fire from 3. Right?
Jump on the Tominaga train. Watch that dude light the world on fire and smile at people.
If Purdue was the only Big Ten team to win in the first round of the tournament, I would not be surprised.
Oh, no, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think I'd be a little surprised. I think they're going to have enough seeds that are you're the higher seed in your game. You're going to be 8s and higher. That I think, I would be a little surprised if nobody got another game deep. Like Northwestern's going to win a game. Wisconsin's going to win a game most likely. Like I'd be
if it's the right triad of games, like Illinois could win a couple, but they are always like a couple good games, couple just awful games, and it's just a matter of like where that pattern falls in the NCAA tournament.
You guys know one of my favorite stats is about Fran McCaffrey's Sweet 16 appearances.
Bring it back up. Bring it back up.
Well, You like me to repeat it? In case anyone's tuning in for the first time and is just learning about college
I'm sure there's a
basketball.
lot of first-time listeners.
Fran McCaffrey has been a college head coach, a D1 head coach.
I'm looking for them.
For 26 years. He's been on teams that are eligible for the NCAA tournament. I'm not talking about he coached NAIA or whatever, or whatever the league that Western was in Blue Chips. That was fun. Remember that when they were like the NAACIP champions or something like that? I was like, why can't we just say NCAA? They're playing in this Indiana. Like, why wouldn't that? I don't get it. Anyway, he's been to 0 Sweet 16s. He has never advanced past the first weekend. Do you know who else has never advanced past the first weekend? Who is a coach of one of the teams you were just talking about in the Big Ten?
Never advanced past the first weekend? I do.
Who?
I'm not gonna. We talked about that. I feel like I'm cheating.
Did we?
Yeah, this is Illinois' coach.
In Underwood. Okay,
Underwood.
because I was doing a little research on a post I was going to do. Underwood's never made the second weekend, and people. This is the thing. This is the issue I have with Illinois. Has been a trendy pick. I think people have talked about how they were going to challenge Purdue.
How many times has he led his sales team in used cars for a weekend?
Yeah,
Like,
he has
that's the
the
thing.
rule that if his assistant coaches don't have a 6-pack, they're off the team.
But Illinois has always put up there
It's a
like
deep
they
cut.
could challenge. They could
Inside
make it.
joke.
They could make a run. They could do it, and it's like, but yet they're underachieving again.
They have a very similar problem to IU, which is that IU does not have a problem getting talent, and Illinois, via their geography, doesn't have a problem getting.
How many pros are on that Illinois lineup? 3?
Two,
Two.
3.
Maybe not next year, but Hawkins is a pro. I think.
Hawkins.
Right.
Well, if he can never be
You
consistent,
think?
then
I think Domask or Goody, one of those two,
and then Shannon.
and Shannon. That's pretty good. That's the old formula. 3 NBA
It's
players.
been this way. It's been
The
this way
old
for a long
formula.
time. Cliff Alexander, number 2
If
player
you
in his
have
class.
one NBA player on your roster, you should be able to make a run.
You should. You should.
Who
And,
does Carmelo
and their
have?
players are guards too. When we all
Right.
talked about how
Notoriously
good
good in the
guards
tournament. Good thing to have are
Yeah.
good guards.
Yeah.
By the way, Derek
This-
Schultz,
this-
regular
this is
listener,
Look at that. Derek Schultz is
has
here.
checked in, and he says Illinois hasn't been to the second weekend since losing the national title game
Wow.
in 2005.
Man, what a
Derek
stat.
bringing that.
Hashtag facts.
So I want to be the one person on this
19 years.
podcast actually astonished at this stat that the Underwood stat that you brought up. It has never even occurred to me that Brad Underwood hasn't made it past the first
Right.
weekend.
Because he's
Like-
always portrayed as this good coach. He's
Well,
not.
he's
he was-
overshadowed by bigger
Right.
dumpster fires in the conference. the Big Ten does not have
Dude,
super deep like.
I told
coaching
you
talent.
guys, I started doing research on a post I'm going to do as we get closer to the tournament about, sort of like looking at does Painter's reputation for losing in the tournament, which it's not even well justified. He's over 500 in the tournament. He's had 6 Sweet 16 runs and an Elite 8. Okay, that's not what everyone wants, but there is not a single program except Michigan State who wouldn't trade for that over the last 15 years. Not one.
I'm sorry. My mind is still at 5 minutes ago. Brad Underwood.
I like it when I can bring these things to you.
How have I never looked into this? How
Because-
is it never processed? Like Illinois is
I mean,
always
picture
good.
his face. You can't do it.
gosh.
He's so
Well, now,
forgettable.
part of it, he really hasn't coached that long, and he was at Stephen F. Austin
Yeah, Stephen F. Austin, yeah.
for a few years and was very good. And then
But
he had 1 year at Oklahoma State, which was very strange, and then Illinois scooped him up, and then he's
But I'm
never
pretty
done.
sure even his Stephen F. Austin years, there was only one, or there were 2 runs where they won one game, like
One
they
game.
upset kind of the big dog, and then immediately lost. Much like a story very familiar to us last year, but like. How it seems like he gets all of the accolades. Illinois always gets the kind of
Yeah.
publicity. He recruits really well. He always has talented teams. What? How has he never made the
You
Sweet
guys
16?
missed. You guys missed one stop on the Brad Underwood journey, which is he was the head coach at Oklahoma State for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
they
he
were
lost.
good.
He played one. There was one season where he coached. He lost in the first round of the tournament, and then was awarded the job at.
That's his calling card.
Smart.
That's
Smart. Go get your raise while you can.
Big Ten is not loaded with guys who go deep in the tournament. So
Man, I mean, coaching talent wise, who's the second best coach? You've got Painter, Izzo, and then who?
So Painter would be 2, wouldn't he?
No, I think
Well,
yeah,
I think
exactly.
Painter's at this point
the
better
se-
than Izzo, but
the
Say that
second
again,
best,
Michael. Say
I
that
mean,
again.
so if we're
Say that one more
going,
time.
I would say career wise, Izzo is a better coach, but in the last 5 years,
right
Painter
now.
has been a better coach than Tom Izzo.
Okay.
I don't think that's that controversial.
Painter's the best coach.
Painter's the best
Yeah,
coach.
Painter's the best coach in the Big Ten. I think Steve Peichel has emerged as the second best coach
He's
in the
an
Big
excellent
Ten.
coach.
I think Izzo has not kind of shown, like, I need Izzo to show something, a little bit more.
Does Peichel get a call from one of those programs you mentioned opening up?
They're
Louisville.
13 and
if I were
13 and
Michigan,
10.
I told
Michigan.
I told you weeks ago. Yeah, if I told you weeks ago, if you are Michigan, Ohio State, or Louisville, you back up the truck for Steve Peichel because that dude can
13
coach,
and 10.
he can recruit.
13 and 10.
Unbelievable.
Are you criticizing his record this year?
I am.
He's at Rutgers, Michael.
I understand.
And
But-
it's a reloading
but you've-
year.
okay,
It's a
let's-
reloading
let's-
year at
next
Rutgers.
year-
Let's look at this from this perspective. He's had some really good guys, and then those guys leave, and he's 13 and 10.
He's got the number 2, number 3 recruiting class in the country.
They're going to be really good next
at
year.
Rutgers. Like, it's really like, I agree. Here's the thing is that we are grading all of these people on the Painter scale. Again, you can make the March jokes you want to. We're talking about the Painter scale. We know. We've been there. We know. We've watched. But like, you're grading all of these people on how likely are they to consistently get top 20 classes, top 3 in the Big Ten, Sweet 16 every year. Like, there are only 2 coaches in the Big Ten with that as the clear expectation, and it's Painter and Izzo, right? That tells you, like, these are the 2. This is the class of the conference, and Izzo hasn't, at least conference-wise, regular season-wise, Izzo hasn't done it. I don't know.
Okay, I'll say Peichel number 3, but there's a drop off. I think there's a significant drop.
I think
It's a drop
you guys are not going to like this one. I feel like Guard is in the conversation, isn't he?
He's in the conversation because like he's had some regular season success, right?
Been to 2
But he-
Sweet
but-
16s.
He can take a punch, man.
Well, kind of fat guys are kind of. I mean,
Yeah,
It's hard to
you got-
knock
you
him
got
over.
Built-in, you got built-in
Absorbed it.
fatting.
yeah. I mean, he's low center of gravity.
Yeah.
I mean,
That Wisconsin team.
His
like,
head is very heavy.
and they
if you
look
look at
bad
that thing.
this season, though. They look bad.
you think Wisconsin looks bad this year?
No. Like when they're clicking, they look fine. But when they have an off game, this is an off.
Man, did we put the join link out publicly?
It's so
Man,
good.
we got all
I
sorts
I
of
sent it. I sent it out.
Flotsam and Jetsam in here.
Surprise. We've got one of the only Purdue staffers, IU alums that I know of, and definitely my favorite one.
I'm worried that we're not going to be able to handle the influx of traffic that we're going to get now.
Dude, no, what we're not gonna be able to handle the ladies that are gonna come into the margin is gonna be wild. So if you're just
They're not here
listening
for
right
us,
now,
though.
if you're just listening, world famous Derek Schultz is here on the program.
World famous
He's-
in Indianapolis.
Well, no, this guy, he's big time.
Not
He's
even
big time.
that anymore.
I like
Yeah,
the is that
Minneapolis is the 17th largest media market.
is that a Zoom background, or do you actually have all those books? Or
No,
is that one of those
uh,
things you buy where it's like the fake books that you stick on the shit, like the
It,
Those
it's
are
real.
books.
those
Yeah.
are your
Here,
They're real,
if you
and
guys
they're
want to be,
fantastic.
How dare you
If you wanna
talk
be
to
really
someone with
impressed.
18,000 Twitter followers like that, Jay?
here's my Patrick Ewing shrine
yeah.
Dude,
There we go.
with all my
dude.
starting lineup. I have every starting lineup ever made at Patrick. My wife calls them my dolls. But yeah, that's
place
I
most
always
impressive
thought
thing
that
in
was
my
a
basement.
bit, Derek. I'm
No,
not
it's
kidding.
100%
I always
true.
thought that was a joke when you were on with Query, but no. you
No,
just gave me a kick.
I liked the championless center for the New York Knicks from
That's
the
awesome.
1980s.
I get why you'd like
Yeah.
him. That's that middle school crosshairs thing we talk about, right? That's the magic time when you're right. Am I right about the?
Well,
That's
yeah,
that's
like,
J Muddy, J Muddy on this podcast too. It's like let's not we've got two big old Knick fans in here.
the weirdest thing of my adult life, guys, is growing up a gigantic Knicks and IU basketball fan, and now I'm like actively rooting for the Pacers and wearing Purdue stuff every day. So
Man,
it's
that's a
been,
turnaround.
Did you hear how he
It's been
navigated?
weird. Yeah.
He didn't say he was actively rooting for Purdue, so he's got to keep his streak.
He did
You
say
know
he was
what? I
wearing
went
Purdue.
to I went to the Arizona game in Indy, and I texted Pete out about this, but I was cheering, like literally, every lawyer 3, I was cheering, and it was weird. It was almost like I was catching myself, like I'm cheering for this. I'm happy about this, but I am. I'm all in, man.
You might want to have someone like start your car for you tomorrow morning.
Start your car.
I'm leaning into it though. They signed the checks, so you kind of have to. And I like you guys. I mean, you guys had me on the show even before any of this job stuff started, right? And I don't know, like IU fans have just annoyed the piss out of me for so long too. I think that kind of wears on you after a while. So I think that's part of it too.
Bring it. Let's talk about IU fans. I don't care what you guys picked the topic. Let's. Did you hear us talking earlier? Do you think they're going to be? Do you think that they're going to be in for a rude awakening? That Purdue's not going away? Do you think they really think that this is going to end when Edey leaves?
Yeah, I did hear you guys talk about that, and that whole narrative is interesting to me because it's like, look, okay, they haven't had who's going to be a 2-time National Player of the Year, but if you just look like 2017 on here, Purdue has spent a lot of time in the top 10 of the polls. They've had Swanigan, God rest his soul, come through here. They've Carson Edwards come through. Jaden Ivey's come through. I mean, like the Haas, Vince Edwards, Carson team got to number 2 or 3 in the polls, right? At one point in the year. I don't know why this is believed like this is just immediately going to go away. I mean, really, when they got right after the Moore, Hummel, Johnson group left, and they had those 2 awful years. Once they got right with like Rayfeld Davis and like AJ Hammonds, late AJ Hammonds, and then into that class with PJ and Matthias and those guys and Haas and Edwards, they've really never kind of looked back. So
right, 2017 is the year really the fulcrum, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go to the final, be a Final Four contender every single year, but I think expecting them to be at the very least like a top 25 level NCAA tournament team, I don't think that's ridiculous at all for a down year.
Yeah, I mean, they had that one down year. Obviously, 2020, they weren't going to make the tournament.
Right.
Likely, so.
And that year doesn't count for anything, right? Yeah. That 2020, we talk about that's the asterisk year anyway in football.
Well, we
basketball.
don't know that they weren't going to make the tournament. I mean, they hadn't done the selection.
Right.
We don't know.
I still think it still bothers me that they didn't release a bracket. They should have just released, or at least the tournament teams that year. They were literally
all could have just yelled at each other.
They were in the room doing it. It was the weekend of the tourneys.
It's true.
Just release it and let people have something to talk about. But they acted like, oh, we can't. The world is so serious right now. We can't talk about that.
We burned the paper.
But that was the year Dayton was going to be a 1. And I don't know why I care about that so much. I just feel so badly for like fans of a program like that you were going to be a 1 seed.
It would have been harder to be a Dayton fan and to see that on paper, though. You know what I mean?
Do you think?
I think for me, I would have.
Oh, I would have hung a damn banner if I was Dayton.
All right, Central Florida.
Yeah, Dayton and IU both got robbed that year. That sucked. Seriously.
And that was a year I think Rutgers was going to get in. We were just talking about Rutgers. Oh, yeah. Let's ask Derek about this. We were just talking about best coaches in the Big Ten right now, not taking into account. So career-wise, obviously, is those career dwarfs anybody's currently coaching in the Big Ten. But as far as their skills right now and how effective they are, in game and recruiting and factoring it all in, we were saying Painter and then Izzo probably right behind him. They're still obviously close. But then we were getting into talking about Peichel being among the best coaches in the Big Ten. Michael
degree of difficulty, right?
Right.
I think another guy that's degree of difficulty, and I know he kind of went like this and then went like this and now is going back up again is Chris Collins.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that.
I know. I was waiting for it.
I know he had an interesting exit at Mackey the other week or whatever, but I've always kind of respected. That seems like a tough place to win, and
no doubt
they've squeezed a lot out of it. I think there,
and it probably is a tougher place to win than even Rutgers. And his issue has been consistency.
Hey,
he's shown that he can win some games.
They had never made the tournament in their history, and he's about to make it for the 3rd time. So
yeah.
That's
legitimate.
Again, build the statue. Yay, Raw. Yay, Raw. You guys underachieve forever. You're in Chicago.
But you're starting somewhere. You got to start somewhere, man.
You got to give him credit for that.
Start somewhere. It's not like they just joined the conference, guys.
Yeah. They just established the program. The program was just established a couple of years ago. It's fine.
Well, the thing I
Dude,
said to these guys
I can
too is,
remember Ricky Birdsong leaving the middle of the game, going up and sitting in the stands in the 90s. I mean, that's good times. That's fun.
they had
That's the Northwestern that I want.
remember they had
back.
Bill
I
Carmody
don't
there
like-
for like 12 or 13 years.
Yes,
Imagine being
yes.
a coach at a major conference for like 12 years and you never make the tournament. And it's like, good job, Bill. Come on back next year.
Back in early Boiled Sports days, I literally lobbied all the time for Northwestern to be kicked out of the conference. Like I did it all the time. I was like, okay, what are they worth? Get them out of here. Let's go. I know it helps the GPA. Everybody wants the smart kid on the team, but get them out of here. I'm sick of looking at their purple.
What are they worth is a very interestingly phrased question, as if we were going to auction off Northwestern and then split.
I think
the
you could
proceeds
trade 'em.
with
East?
everybody else.
Man, we gotta want.
Trade him for who? Like, so Northwestern has never had a coach with a winning record.
No, of course they haven't. They've never been. They've never
tough.
won the Big Ten.
That's my
How
argument.
many
That's
winning
my
seasons have they even had?
argument.
Not many,
Like 10?
maybe.
Is that too many?
I think that's a perfect over under.
Years?
That's a perfect
Yeah?
over under right there. 10 and a
I
half.
bet it's one of those
winning
things. I bet Northwestern fans know exactly how many winning seasons they've had.
You bet what? No,
Northwestern fans know.
there are no.
Because there are 2 or 3 guys in Chicago that like Northwestern.
Hey, they've won 2 Big Ten conference championships, guys. Okay,
Have they?
I mean,
I assumed it was
Yeah.
0.
1931 and 1933.
See, now that's that right there. They were in the damn conference.
31 and
way
33. It's sandwiched right around that Helms title that Purdue won.
Oh, are you just saying that to like get me going?
back. No,
I'm going to ignore that
it's
comment.
legit. It's legit. The Helms thing.
Derek, you
You're
are
a historian.
a Purdue official right now. You're a Purdue official, so we need to ask
Oh,
the Purdue
no.
official
Yeah,
if
right.
so. I need to inform you that Michael has a basically a gym for a detached garage. It's like an acre big, like it's fully enclosed. It's a ranch
Insulated.
in Texas. It's great.
Insulated.
I'm very
His
jealous.
favorite thing in the world is the Helms Trophy title because he thinks Purdue earned it. He thinks that it is the greatest
Legit,
title. It surpasses any of these
Wasn't
other
it
titles.
awarded in
And we're just
1960?
wondering if there are replica banners that Purdue will be selling that we can ship to Michael so that he can hang it in his background there. So I don't know if that's an idea you want to take to the Purdue marketing communications folks. It could work.
To our friend, yeah, it would have to go to our friends in athletics, but yeah, maybe Chris Foreman and some of those guys would be interested in making 1932 banners. The 100th anniversary is right around the corner, so
The 100th anniversary
no.
of the season, but
can
not
do
the
that.
100th anniversary of when it was awarded. Because those are off by like 20 years.
yeah, I guess you're right. There's a whole. If you guys want to,
cranked up, you can feel it coming. He's starting to get
Guys,
mad.
I'm trying to be, we have guests and I'm trying to be on my best behavior. And I don't appreciate you guys egging me on. Thank you very much.
if you guys want to go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, there is a whole entry on mythical national championship that you can look up, and I'm pretty
there.
sure it mentions, yeah, the Purdue Helms title, because NCAA football is crazy. Like college football, there are some schools that claim every championship that they've
I
ever
think A&M
won.
is one of those. I think A&M
Yeah.
has claimed a whole bunch of football titles that just don't exist.
like Notre Dame and Alabama have a bunch of, technically they were awarded national champions in some polls, but they don't recognize, they
They
only
don't
recognize
really-
like the near unanimous ones.
All right.
Yeah, and you guys were talking about a minute ago about Northwestern's winning seasons. Okay, they've played 119 seasons. How many are we thinking that they had winning?
I like the over/under set at 10.5. So I'll say.
Okay, it's a bit higher than 10 and a half.
I'm gonna say 21.
In
I'm not
119?
17.
Okay, it's 33.
Ah, that's a lot.
Wow.
No, it isn't.
Wow.
Yeah, so
No, it
that's
isn't. Some were
28
probably like 2-1, right?
Yeah, but
Old timey.
what would we say the marker is for?
While the war was going on.
What would you say?
Let's see. What would the marker be for modern era? What do we say?
I mean,
My marker for modern era is like, there's like an arc that was put on
I say
the
85.
floor. And I think that was the 3-point line. And I think IU only has one banner since then. So that would be the one
That's gonna
that
be
I
like,
would mark.
So it's like 85, 86 is what you would say. Is that right?
yeah.
87 was when the 3-point line was at.
No, I don't
That's-
think so. I
I
think it was
it's right
85.
before that.
I think
Michael
it was
Jordan
good.
made none. No 3-pointers.
There you go. There you go.
I mean, but that's earlier.
I'd go earlier. I'd go when the NIT.
Of course, you'd go earlier.
Well, I use one of or
1940
both of IUs, right,
specifically.
was when the NIT was kind of viewed as an equal or even better tournament. So I'd go like after that.
Yep. Okay.
So like to me, like Purdue's Final Four in what year was 69
80?
with Mount
Okay,
and all
60.
them. That's about where I'd start.
Okay. Let's say 1970 for fun.
Yeah, there's 11 since 1970,
Oh my gosh.
Wow, most of them.
and that's what 54 years, right?
Your uncle was born in
Yeah.
71.
It's
and
not.
He's old. He's old. His hairline is a joke. Hope he's listening right now. He's not.
He's not.
He'll
By the
listen
way,
later,
this
though.
1969 NCAA tournament, one of the reasons I don't like considering that kind of thing modern era, there were 25 teams in the tournament, which also is awesome.
25.
I love how they come up with a
the
number.
perfect number for a tournament.
How many should we have? 25. Well, what will we do? I don't know. We'll just do some buys and
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
totally. They're just like brackets hanging.
Yeah.
Nothing happening out here. It's great. Okay,
Well, maybe
hey,
it was like the home
I
title, and they just awarded the bid 20 years after the tournament.
He loves the Helms. All right, hey, I got a trivia, and I'm glad we got all these opinions here. Okay, there was a good question asked during the QuickCast earlier today. One was, so there's two questions. First one, what is a successful season for Purdue? And you can answer both of these. So how much tournament success equals a successful season for Purdue? Okay, so we've got, does the Big Ten tournament matter? Some of you guys, it does. Doesn't matter to me at all. Okay. And then how far do they need to go into the tournament to say, okay, that's a good season? Okay. All right. All right. So that's part one. Part two is if my math is correct, there are a possibility of 40 games Purdue can play this year. Okay. Max 40 games max. Purdue is 22-2 right now. What will their record be? So you can say you think they're going to lose way before game 4.
Okay, so best case scenario, they're going to
Best case scenario is they go through the championship.
They're not going to go
Big Ten,
through
and then go
without
through
losing.
to the championship in the NCAA tournament.
No,
which is-
I'd say realistic best case is you lose another regular season game. I'm convinced they're losing.
That's what I say. I agree.
They're going to lose another regular season game. They're going to lose in the Big Ten tournament, I think, because who cares? So there's 2 right there. Now you're at 4 losses.
I'm with you.
And then let's say you don't win the national title. Regardless of where you finish.
What?
Regardless
Why
of
would
where
you
you
ever
finish,
say
that's
that?
1 more loss. So now you're at 3 losses. That puts you at 5 losses on the season, and you could lose in the first round and have only 5 losses.
If you lose in the first round, those games go
wait.
away. And that's the game. If you go to the championship and lose in the Big Ten tournament, that's game 35 is the first round of the NCAA tournament.
So you'd be 30-5 and be out in the first round. So let's
Right.
pretend that's not possible.
It's absurd.
What was the record
Almost.
last year?
Let's not worry about it. Let's not worry about it. Let's not worry. Let's not look up the fact that they have almost exactly that. They had 6 losses.
They were 23-2 last year. They're 23-2 a year ago right now.
So okay? Let's start one question at a time. So what's a successful season?
Let's go through. What's a successful season?
I agree with you. I don't care about the Big Ten tournament at all.
At all.
I mean, if
think
they
it's dumb.
win
I
the
hate
Big
the Big
Ten
Ten
and they win the tournament, and you could say back to back, they swept them both. That's neat, but who cares? So that matters not at all.
The word neat is perfectly condescending.
You're right. Right. Exactly. I think the line remains absolute bare minimum is second weekend. Bare minimum.
I'm disappointed.
No, I'm saying bare minimum. Like where you can even start to say, oh, that was fun.
No. It's Final Four or bust.
Final Four.
I'm so scared of the round of 32, guys. I have worked myself into just a real problem.
Purdue's gonna lose
No,
to Memphis.
they get past the first round. They're not going to be that nervous in this round.
No, I think if
It's not
they
about
get,
nerves.
I
It's like
think,
running into one of those
I
guard
think
heavy
they
teams.
get past the round of 64 easy.
Sure.
They win by
Agree.
30 something. They should
Agree.
because they're going to be focused on that.
Agree.
And then round of 32 they'll play FAU.
Like last year's FAU.
Like like this.
They
year's
could
FAU.
literally play FAU
Yeah.
as an 8 or a 9. And you don't think the committee wants to do that?
Well, right now, I've seen 2 or 3 brackets right now, and this is so stupid to do it this far out,
Yeah,
but it has the 8-9 game Purdue would play being TCU against St. Mary's. I don't really want St. Mary's.
No, St. Mary's is good.
They're very good.
Mahaney, he's a good shooter.
Derek, what do you think of this insanity? What do you think?
I think I'd be very careful using the word that'll be easy for any Purdue NCAA tournament game, because everybody on the couch isn't going to be thinking that. It'll be, they'll be down 6-4 and everybody will be crapping their pants.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm going to enjoy it.
Look, Big Ten tournament, I completely agree. I don't agree on the Big Ten title. I don't agree that it means nothing.
That one means something. No.
Regular
yeah.
season, the tournament,
tournament title.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, the regular season, I still think, the biggest disappointment to me about 22 wasn't the St. Peter's loss. It's that team they didn't actually win anything. They didn't win the Big Ten tournament, if you care about that. They didn't win the Big Ten.
That's been Anisha's point about that team forever.
And there's nothing, you're not going to look up in the rafters at Mackey and see anything that commemorates that team. And that's what makes them, I think 22 is even more disappointing than last year. Last year wasn't supposed to do anything. They won the league. They won the tournament. I get it, FDU, and you got to hear that forever. But,
but they came from nowhere to be number 1 and to be a number 1 seed. That's something, right? And
I get that raised the expectation bar. The tournament is random, and if you put all of your eggs in that basket, more times than not, you're going to be disappointed. Look, if they make the Elite Eight, and let's say the unrepeatable Virginia sequence happens again, can I call the season a failure for something like that?
I want to be swallowed by a whale.
I'm going to join a niche on the beach getting swallowed by a whale.
I'm not trying to get anybody swallowed by any large animals. That's not what I'm trying to. What I'm trying to put out there is a hypothetical that it's easy for us to say, oh, they make the Elite Eight and it's a failure. What if they make the Elite Eight, they lose to a 2 seed, Kansas, on a buzzer-beating, banked-in 3 in true Purdue sports fashion, right?
Oh, Derek.
In double overtime. Is the season suddenly a failure because of that?
No,
this is
right. It's not. It's just something.
I talked about this today on the Quickcast, that every Purdue fan who is worth their weight in anything understands the history of Purdue not getting to the Final Four, right? So the Elite Eight for all of us should be like, okay, that's a pretty good marker. That said, that scenario sounds totally believable and makes my heart stop.
I feel like
sad.
I feel like failure isn't the word, right? Like if that happens, the season isn't a failure.
Disappointment.
But it's still disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
A failure would be like to lose anytime before.
For example, in the first round.
So let's interrogate this for a second. A back-to-back National Player of the Year, like the first back-to-back National Player of the Year since Ralph Sampson. You've got back-to-back Big Ten titles, probably, maybe back-to-back Big Ten titles by more than 3 games. Like that would be wild. And then. So that is the kind of, at least initially, that is the success line that we're kind of going with here. Now, it is like, how far do you have to go in the tournament for it not to feel bitter? And to me, that's the Sweet 16. If you have the 2-time National Player of the Year, you win the Big Ten twice, by that much going away, and all you have in March is a Sweet 16 to go for it, you feel there's a bitter taste in your mouth. If you have the second Elite Eight, there's a story.
What if, because remember, the 22 team made the Sweet 16.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The 22 team loses to 2-seed Kentucky. Nobody cares. Right. They lost to St. Peter's. So let's say hypothetical again.
Right now. That's a great point, Derek. Everyone puts that one right with FDU because
they shouldn't.
Yeah, because you should own it.
Because you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So let's say Anisha's scenario, they make the Sweet 16, and then what would be they'd face the 13 would be the highest seed, right, in the Sweet 16 that they could face. Mm-hmm. They lose to a 13 seed, Indiana State.
Barf. Oh no! Stop that. That's awful.
Can you
live
live with
the worst things? I'm
just
your
trying.
Words.
I'm trying to outline the conversation here because it's easy to say, okay, Elite Eight's a failure, Sweet 16, whatever. I'd be cool with the Sweet 16. Well, it depends. Like, hypothetically,
it does depend.
What if you lose to another low mid major when you get to that round? Because people, like you guys said, people are going to glom onto that.
I will go back to the thing I
That's what he just said.
and being negative, he shakes his head. Being negative. I don't like being a negative Purdue fan on public airwaves. Are these public airwaves?
I was gonna say, I was gonna quibble a little bit.
There's no FCC
You gonna
regulations.
quibble with it or quibble with it?
I was gonna quibble. You got me. You got me.
Okay,
You got me.
gotcha. If it's not gonna happen with the best Purdue team we've ever seen,
Right. This
then
is
I hear you.
ever
this is
going
what the guys
to
on
happen?
Sleeper.
So my issue, like I said this to these guys 5 years ago now, and it's astonishing to me that the loss to Virginia was 5 years ago. But if you're not going to get there when
Seems
you've
like
got Carson Edwards literally setting records for NCAA tournament scoring that stand currently, and he didn't get past the Elite Eight. He had more threes in a tournament than anybody ever has, and he only went to the round of 8. Like, if that's not going to get there, and then when you have the path that the 22 team had, where all you had left to beat was a 15 and an 8, when will it ever happen if it won't happen in those? And I'm sorry to
And the
be
8th team they had beaten the living hell out of.
right. And that's, I mean, one thing I
It was
will
a
say,
perfect Purdue tournament, wasn't it?
well,
Damn it.
And they look great in those first 2 games. They look great against Texas, and then who else did they play?
they
They
beat
played
Beard. They
Yale.
beat Chris Beard.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what it
Yale.
was. Yeah.
Put to bed an old demon.
Felt different.
Yep.
Had Jaden Ivey on that team. You had Carson Edwards and Jaden Ivey. Now you've got Zach Edey.
To me, this year, and to go back to answer the question, it looks like Purdue is going to march pretty comfortably to a Big Ten to another Big Ten title by multiple games. Purdue is going to march. Zach Edey is going to march to the second National Player of the Year in a row, and pretty easily cement his case as the greatest Purdue basketball player ever, or at least let's say the most decorated Purdue basketball player ever. You can.
Oh, he's gonna be the most decorated. He was right there near Robinson last year. I think he was more decorated last year.
He may go down with the 2 National Players of the Year, the most points and the most rebounds in Purdue basketball history.
He's gonna get rebounds. He's 20 away right now.
And he's going to be second in points. I mean, again, health, knock on
He's like
everything.
190 points away, right?
If it ends before an Elite Eight, it's gonna feel bad.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel bad. And so
agree.
to answer your question pretty easily, pretty straightforward, as of right now, with the team hitting their stride like this, with it doesn't look like the walls are being hit that the backcourt hit last year, with Lance Jones' addition, with the team looking significantly different, X's and O's in terms of the way that they're playing from last year. Last year was entirely Edey centric. And this year is actually very much not, strangely. It is very complimentary ball being played, and it's actually at a much faster pace. This team is much more positioned to win in the tournament. That will mean that the expectations are raised, which is why you should just you should root for Northwestern, and you should never have raised expectations.
higher
Because this is terrible. This is terrible, and this is awful, and it feels bad.
And if you lose
Yeah,
the
but
Elite Eight, you're playing a good team, right? If you
To
lose the Elite
Anisha's
Eight,
point too, if you're a 1 seed, you guys, we all fill out those brackets. You pick out those 8-9 games. It's always like Seton Hall, TCU, and you're like, what the hell do I even do with this game? Like, if you're a 1, you
TCU's
should get to the second weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in general, you have programs like that. A lot of times there are teams that I've barely even watched, and they're the 8-9 game.
But
Like,
There could be
if you're
Alabama
one,
could be waiting there. Like not for
you
Purdue.
should,
I don't
you
think
should
they
win
do
those
that,
first
but-
2 games.
Yeah,
If you're a 1,
Agreed.
you should win those first 2.
Agreed.
No.
Yeah.
Here, let me ask you guys. Here, let me give you another because I've been thinking about a lot. I got some good discussion going with my stupid questions, but I got another dumb question for you. Okay, the Big Ten has struggled of late, getting to the Final Four and winning a national title. Okay, which comes first? A Big Ten team wins a national title, or Purdue goes to the Final Four?
Both going to be. I mean, I guess you say the Final Four because Purdue had to go to the Final Four before they won a national title.
Boom!
There's no Big
Confidence
Ten,
from the young man from Fishers.
Can't argue with that logic.
Yeah, it seems completely.
and there's no Big Ten program besides Purdue right now that has any shot at winning a national championship this year.
No, not this.
Whenever, as long as Izzo has life in his body, I'll believe in the tournament. Like he could do something stupid.
But
Like
he
I
doesn't.
just,
He won a championship in 2000, man.
I know, but they went to the Final Four like 15 minutes ago.
I think it's like 8 or 9 times. It's so preposterous.
So dumb.
No, I think Big Ten national title comes before Purdue Final Four.
Oh,
What?
man.
What?
Yeah, I think you're probably thinking of Rutgers and Pikel, right? With that
Yeah.
super class. That's probably what you're thinking.
Yeah, number
Makes
1
sense.
and 2.
It's
Or
easy.
Ohio State and Pikel, but that's for another
He won't.
discussion.
That's one thing. Well, with this era, though, he can take all of his wonder kids right with him to
He
Columbus.
would too.
Wunderkind.
Yes, he would. Wunderkinds, right? Oh boy. Beard in the Big Ten and Pikel in Columbus is very realistic the more I think about it. And all of a sudden, I want to poop my pants all the time thinking about the Big Ten.
Better get your national championship in now then.
You better do it now. I got to tell you, I love the 6 coming in. I love that class. I think there's one guy that's going to redshirt. I don't know which one, but I think that class, and I keep saying I'm not wishing away this class, but it feels to me like perfect, like when your guard's down and everybody's super sad because, like we all said, Purdue, if they can't win the national title with being number 1 so many weeks during this year, having the 2-time national player of the year, that sort of thing, everybody's like never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, these pups come in. That's my big
Or it's the perfect encore after you win a national title. I don't know.
Right,
It'd be
you win
pretty cool
another.
to
You win
have,
another.
to make a catch.
And
No
then
rebuild,
all of a
reload.
sudden, Matt
No
Painter
rebuild, reload.
he is Jay Wright, by the way. He is
Exactly.
Jay Wright.
In that scenario, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Poorly dressed.
Derek,
Jay
what
Wright.
we're gonna
That was better.
Derek, what we're going to do is, at least for this segment, we've kept you long enough, but I do want to get very quickly. I want you to ISO. We call it's the Kobe Bryant, the ISO play. I want you to ISO because as Purdue fans, we have watched like every single minute of Zach Edey. We've analyzed, we've been surprised, and then we've come to expect this greatness that we're seeing literally on a night-to-night basis that we haven't seen since, like Pat Ewing, since your doll's on the wall. It's fun for Purdue fans, and obviously you're basically the chancellor of all of the Purdue systems at this point. However, as a relative outsider, give me your Zach Edey ISO. What should we feel like about him? What should be our lasting image about him, regardless of what the tournament holds? Because this journey really matters, and the journey of watching the great, in my eyes, I think the greatest Purdue athlete, the greatest Purdue basketball player that we've seen, probably should mean more than just this March Madness title. So kind of talk us out of this insanity, please.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2-time National Player of the Year is incredible. If we're to even take football into account, think about all the guys that won the Heisman, then came back the next year and they were the favorites and they
Right.
flopped.
Right.
They didn't. Not only were they not as good, they were worse than they were the year before. I mean, I remember thinking last year in the wake of what happened in the tournament, I thought, oh God, even if he comes back, he's maxed out, right? He can't be better. And he's better.
Mm-hmm.
He's better than he was last year. I didn't think that there was another level for him to hit. And it kind of started with those NBA workouts where people are tweeting and they're like, holy crap, he can actually move around pretty well and he can do this and he can do that. And people didn't think that he could do that because he's just tall. Yeah, he should be. It's so hard to appreciate anything in the moment, right? It happens and then it's gone. And then 10 years later, you're like, oh yeah, this was really great. I think Colts fans are just now doing that with the 2000s Colts team because they've been in the toilet for the last 10 years. So now instead of saying, well, he just won one title, they're like, oh man, yay, Dwight Freeney, Reggie Wayne. It takes people a while, but I've tried to appreciate because it's historic what he's doing. And this is special. It's special for Purdue to spend time at number 1 in the polls, something that before 3 years ago they had never done.
Before last year.
I still think November through February matter. I still think you have to get joy out of that. You have to experience that. I get about March and all that, but I still think that you should watch that and be happy when they sweep IU and be happy when they survive kind of a cruddy rock fight afternoon at Rutger and do all of that. So yeah, kind of a long-winded point. Anish, appreciate Zach Edey, appreciate this regular season success. Don't let people tell you that it doesn't matter. But yeah, to the point, they're going to Phoenix. So why are we even having this conversation?
my
They're going to be
Did
there. It's
Anish,
going to be great.
they're
going.
Yes.
Did Anish like write this and then give it to you?
Exactly. Just
Right
hand
prior
it across
to
the internets to you.
Just like email it to you urgent. Please read this.
It's
when I'm done talking.
words of affirmation.
That-
Actually, Zach reads me that every night before I go to
Look
sleep.
at that smug satisfaction on Anish's face when Derek was talking.
Yeah, that was
It
awful.
was too much.
This was awful.
Hated it.
Enjoy the
Gosh,
journey.
It's
Enjoy
I need
it.
I did,
Soak it in.
I agree with that. You have to enjoy this. You have to.
Oh, you got to enjoy it. Like that's been my every QuickCast. Have I talked about that every freaking time? Just savor it for what it's worth. At least now, like everybody was fast forwarding starting in December. Let's get up. Come on, it's over. Let's get to March. Let's get to March, guys.
There's no
Waste
way
of time.
to. But the reason for that, we know that they can't undo anything until they get back to March. But the other thing that so seeing Kansas get dump trucked last night
Yeah,
reminded me
in Tennessee 2 nights ago, right?
Right. Kansas scored 50 points last night and lost by like 30.
29. Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Accuracy over here.
We strive to be accurate.
I was rounding. It
Yes,
just sounds more dramatic when you say 30. But Purdue doesn't ever do that. Purdue's off nights are you lose in overtime on the road to Northwestern. Okay, that sucked. It was an off night. But they still barely lost, right? All things considered. That's still a very close loss. And I said this to these guys, Derek. I was like, when was the last time they lost to a good team?
He actually went and dug deep about this.
It's literally years.
Yes.
They haven't lost to a good team
It's so
in
dumb.
a season and a half. It's hard to even, right? Because Northwestern, Nebraska, I mean, I'm not trying to, even though we like to disparage them, they're a decent team.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
look,
where you lost a game where you said, well, they were better. Like your scenario you projected where you're like, let's say they're losing the lead 8 to a Kansas team.
I will give you one. I'll give you one. I do think that the Hood Schifino game at Mackey, Trace Jackson Davis, one of their best players. I thought Indiana was legitimately a good team last year.
Fair.
They were a top 5 seed. Ran into a buzzsaw against Miami. Sorry, I know I don't have my diplomas in a cardboard box behind me, so you guys. It's not like I have it on display or anything. But
I wouldn't either.
Cardboard box is pretty valuable.
more than the diploma,
sorry,
right?
We just
I
did
had
you a
to. The head
solid a
is
minute ago, and this is how you read
I
it.
know. I can't. There's too much genuine emotion. There's too much genuine emotion about appreciating Zach that I couldn't let that Derek go. I'm sorry.
All right.
Too much that put him back on his heels that much? Is that it? Is Derek he can't take it anymore? Is that what happened? Completely
No, I thought
stumbled.
he's agreeing with me, right? We're Zach Edey appreciators.
I'm
We're
always-
regular
we're
season
Zach
success
Edey
appreciators.
So actually, this puts us in the
December
corner where
basketball
the
appreciator.
regular season matters, and if we want another merch idea, we can do the Purdue 5 banners, except it's November, December, January, February. Maybe we can go 1 month beforehand.
It's all
1 month beforehand, and then we'll do that.
Maui Hall of Fame classic, whatever the hell from Springfield.
Oh, we did this. We
all
have
this-
it.
Battle
It's in
for
our
Atlantis.
store.
Like
They've
all
got
the-
it in
The one up in
the
Portland, Oregon.
RedBubble store.
That's right, the Nike one. Yeah.
November
We got
champs. November champs.
Yeah,
Year
we
in,
did.
year out.
I'd buy it.
We
I'd
went into
wear it.
that, man. We don't hide that. That's something to be proud of.
That's very much in the no one comes into Ross Aid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Something you don't brag about except to your Purdue friends.
But if anyone else says it,
Yeah, we're going. That's like making fun of your little brother, right? Like you can do it all day long, but the moment somebody else does, you're gonna freaking bust their nose. Don't do that. Don't do that stuff. Don't make fun of my brother. He's a moron. He can't help
It's
it.
still pretty cool to be like, hey, they beat North Carolina and Villanova and Gonzaga and
Tennessee, Arizona.
Yeah,
that North Carolina
just-
game.
Arizona.
Goodness gracious, man.
It's just these commuter New Jersey schools. That's
That's the biggest
The problem.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
that's
Living
the,
here.
that's
one
the
day
hump.
we'll crack that nut.
I have someone who reports to me at my day job who went to St. Peter's.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome.
Says the guy with the degree from FDU.
Yeah, that's true too.
I used to go to MAC and NEC games in Connecticut because Fairfield was in the MAC with St. Peter's and Sacred Heart was in the NEC with FDU. So I know all those
The
crappy
worst
community
part
school
about
programs.
St. Peter's was I didn't know that school existed.
Oh my gosh.
That was the hardest part of that for me.
It's like you're playing a movie school.
Yeah, it's like, what is this? Where did these kids come from? Where did they find them? Did they find them on the drive
worst-
to the stadium?
The worst part for me is that you know that all of these, not the St. Peter's, but last year FDU. The only reason I know FDU exists is because my good friend Jay Money has another very coveted cardboard box degree from FDU. I'm sorry, I can't. But like all of the other coaches, at least every single one that Matt Painter has lost to, from Grant McCasland on, like
What a name.
these are all good coaches that were coaching double-digit seeds that were on the ascent in their
That guy
careers.
at
And
FDU.
then that putz last year at FDU. It's like I
You
can't.
got the Iona
This guy,
job, guys.
this guy,
Tobin
this-
Bell or
He got
Tobin
he got a
Smoth or-
what?
Tobin Anderson.
Tobin Anderson.
Like a
And it's like,
I was naming
100
actors.
Hey, he's the
Raise.
most impressive Tobin. All right, so please be.
How
I
dare
worked
you.
with a guy named Tobin who was a putz. So
And it's just like
Our mentions
what,
are going
this
to blow
guy.
up now.
We've talked about this.
There is
the
no
Matt Painter
rising star
coaching
here.
tree is different from other coaching trees. He launches careers left and right.
I hope that FDU and St. Peter's, I hope those guys cut him a very generous Christmas check to go into their card that they send him every year because he made those guys some money.
That's what I'm
he
saying.
made Chris Beard money. That's the thing. You can go back further than that. Like it's not
Beard.
just those. He
I
made
don't want to
Beard
think
money.
about that game.
Yeah, you can not worry about not thinking of it. It happened. It was real.
What bothered me about that game was that they were like banking in threes.
Oh
in the
yeah,
final-
one
like,
dude.
that game was,
it was
a
one
fluke.
guy.
St. Peter's was better than them. That's what sticks with me. That night,
Yeah.
St. Peter's was better than them. That
Yeah,
Little
that
Rock
one
game
white
was
kid
garbage.
with the curly hair.
Yeah.
Damn it. That's rough.
But Little Rock was the only one. I think I heard you guys talking about it. Like Painter's track record before then in the tournament was great. They were when they were getting eliminated, they were getting eliminated by like the Final Four UConn team in 09, the national champion Duke team in 10,
Yes.
that loaded Kansas team
Yes.
that the Swanigan group
Joe
lost to.
Inslee
Like,
brings
they
up
were
a good point.
they were getting beat by contenders, and it's just the problem is that it's all come in this 3-year span with
Right.
bang, bang, bang. North Texas, St. Peter's, FDU.
Among his best teams too. That's the thing.
I
that's
need Purdue to win a title, and then if Painter
Real-
loses to complete the table, losing to every
But
possible.
you got to win the
team.
title first.
big-
I would be
The bingo
that.
card?
I would be that should go in the Wikipedia page.
It's on.
They
the
should
Wikipedia
hang a banner for
page, right? Somebody.
I really
Win the
like-
title first.
There's also a part of me that's not insignificant that wants Purdue to win, also so that you can keep the joke going that every team that's ever lost to a 16 has won a national title the next year.
Yes. So it's science.
It's happened. It will have happened twice.
Twice.
It's
exactly.
it's and you said something about how like you can't ever undo what happened last year. No, you can't. But boy, a national championship sure would make it feel
Oh, it'd be fine. To
part of the
completely worth it.
journey.
I gotta tell you, a Final Four makes it completely worth it to me. I mean, it worth it.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with a year of making fun of to go to a Final Four since I don't remember the last Final Four.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I agree.
Yeah.
Well. You guys have anything else for Derek?
Love you, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
I asked Derek to read me my bedtime story.
Exactly. And he did it. He nailed it even better than you
Got it published, bound.
I'll
Radio
send you the MP3, Anish, so you can just have it on the
I
recording.
appreciate it, boss. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
No problem. Thanks for having me, you guys. Boiler
Yeah.
up.
Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Derek.
Good seeing you. You got a face for it.
Oh, you know what we didn't do? Was our producer just telling us to thank our sponsors?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much what he just said. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm not wearing anything
Anything?
from. Let's see.
Oh.
None of us.
From the waist down.
None of us are wearing anything from our pals. at
That's not the
Homefield.
way to start the read. I
No,
don't
it's
know
not.
if you
It's
know
not.
that.
But I got to tell you, they do make good stuff, and they got a ton of good new stuff. And you should head over to homefieldapparel.com right now, and you grab a T-shirt, and you get a hat with the Purdue script. My dad actually ordered one after I said that. He was like, "I like that hat," and he said he's going to go get one, and I think he did.
Another There you go, home field.
And he entered Boiled 23 at checkout, and he got 15% off. It was that simple. So, every time Michael is on campus, every single time, all the time, when he goes on campus, he goes right to AJ's and he says, he comes in, he yells, "Boiled Sports!" And then the magic happens.
Let me just say that doesn't work everywhere. I try it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work in Texas.
Doesn't work in Texas.
Doesn't work in Pittsburgh. It doesn't work in New Jersey, but it works at AJ's.
Barely works in West Lafayette.
Yeah. Burgers, beef, beer. That's AJ's on Vine near the fire station. So I don't know if I got the record from all you guys, but I got to tell you, that was a spirited conversation. Much of it made me want to cry inside and die a little bit.
I don't know.
It's tough, man. I mean, that's the thing. Like the takeaway is the soliloquy, which was that the regular season matters and having a back-to-back
That's the only thing.
player of the year
That's
matters.
what I heard. Well,
That's it.
guys,
That's the thing I'll remember.
Man,
do you guys feel
because it's like, oh boy, the pit in your stomach once everything starts.
when you start watching, and I know that at least a couple of us watch regularly, like whatever's being. This is something we all do, right? When Purdue's good, you watch content that Purdue's talked about because it's fun. When they're not good, you're like, nope, never going to watch it, never going to learn anything about college basketball again. No, but if you watch like Sleepers or Field of 68, do you guys feel better or worse or indifferent when they start saying, "Oh yeah, Purdue's my national champ pick," not just Final Four pick, but when they all start saying, "No, they're them or UConn."
I've shifted on this because, like, at the beginning of the season, I was like, "Don't say it,
Right?
Stop saying it," and now I'm like, "They're right." Like,
it has to be a pick. Has to be a pick.
Right.
I'm fairly indifferent though, to be honest, because I
Hearing
think
them say that.
Well, because a lot of these shows are very.
You think they're doing it for
recency
clicks because the huge Purdue contingent in America? Because it isn't there. That's the thing. I keep thinking it like hurts their business unless
it really does, because they're not saying, "Oh, Kentucky could surprise people."
North Carolina,
they should.
No,
if they want
to. UConn, right? Which ESPN is trying to.
I mean, this kind of goes back to the point from a couple of years ago where Painter went from somebody that people ignored to the number one media coach. Like really, like he's the number one NCAA basketball coach media darling, especially after Jay Wright retired. I mean, your big thing about if Painter wins a title, he becomes the Jay Wright. He becomes kind of the face, the voice, the conscience, the best.
He's like Bennett,
thing in college
likable.
Basketball,
right? Like nobody dislikes them. People are happy they won. I mean, it's Wright, Bennett, and then it would be Painter.
So we got a question over here. I got to answer over here because it matters to me. It may not matter to anybody else. But has LBD announced his commitment yet? He has not. I don't think he's going. Thanks, Joe. He has not announced where he's going yet. There may be a table with hats that I don't think. Maybe I'll do it on BS. I don't know. But it's only two hats right now. It's Cincy and Purdue. He's going to go into data analytics. He's in the dude,
isn't Cincy one of those schools that you make you call like Louisville, like a city college? Isn't that what
I did? I did call them a city college. I went to that day on campus with the worst attitude, and I was like, "These guys are awesome!" Like their business school is a brand new building. Like
the worst.
I believe this story 100.
Without a doubt. He's like,
I was grumpy.
Got like a mean face on.
Yeah, pissed off. Don't look at me.
Exactly.
Shut up, college kid.
The tree is stupid.
Yeah,
Bearcat. What's a Bearcat?
Colors. I
What
hate
the hell's
color
a Bearcat?
red. Yeah, it's not even
Cincinnati
real.
chili's terrible.
By the way, the Bearcat's not real. If you want to, it really is.
What a mascot!
Not a real thing. It's not a real thing. But
put that out on a leash.
I don't want to dig in. By the way, if my son chooses Cincinnati, I'm still not going to be a Cincinnati fan. But he has not decided. He is waiting for all the financial stuff. Unlike his dad, he has schools interested in giving him money, which is really cool.
What is that?
Yeah. His dad was like,
I thought you were going to say, unlike his
his
dad.
hand, please take me.
I thought you were going to say, unlike his dad, he's patient.
Yeah, that's true. I made my decision. I said decision in October. It was a different era back then.
Of 8th grade.
No, I had enrolled at Miami of Ohio, and then I changed my. Yeah.
I wasn't given a choice. My dad told me I could apply to whatever school I wanted to, but I was going to go to Purdue.
As long as it rhymed with Purdue.
That's all. I could apply to wherever I wanted, but that check was going to go to to Purdue.
Wow.
That's what in like the most monotone voice too. There wasn't
That's
any
awesome.
passion behind it. It was just like
That's
this is
great.
what's going to happen.
That's the thing. So many people apply to just one place. It amazes me. I applied to like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
My son, I made him apply to like 4 because I wanted
Applied
him
to,
to.
like, 7.
I applied to 1.
Gracious. Anish?
No. You
Butler and Purdue?
this is where this is where the averages are thrown off because I am an Indian, and so
didn't notice.
we apply. We are only 24 schools and up
What?
that must be applied for.
What?
So, yes. I think I probably put in legitimately like 18 applications. Yeah, I applied to like 18 schools. But this was before
Gosh.
Common Apps.
How many,
why?
how
It
many
wasn't
did
as
you
easy.
visit?
One.
Like a dozen, maybe.
What?
more.
What?
Yeah, man.
And this is before
Dude,
you got
Indians
free
are rough.
days out off campus, right? This is not in the era.
This is Indians.
Yeah. Right? You just, I mean, because they didn't give you, like right now, the high school my son goes to, they give you like 6 days or something where you can go take campus visits.
No, these were weekend trips. These were
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
What were you worried you weren't going to get in anywhere? Why would you apply? to
No,
these
this is
schools?
the thing. You got to do your research. You got to go. You got to visit.
Gotta
You
do your
gotta-
own research.
And then like so, my mom was my Purdue graduate mom was a professor at Butler, so I would have got there free. But also, you get tuition exchange. So I would have gotten to like there's like a list of like 80 schools you would have gotten kind of tuition. Maybe not 80, but like 50 schools that legitimately that you got like an exchange for. And so it was like that kind of increased it. But like no. This is me is where the average is thrown off here. My bad.
By the way, some people in the margin are mentioning Skyline. The last visit to Cincy, we went to Skyline, which is right near campus, like one of the original Skyline Chili's, and it's like a little diner. And every time I eat Skyline, I'm gonna have diarrhea, but it's totally worth it.
Oh.
It's delicious.
Totally worth it. I was waiting
Can
for
you tell
Michael
the
to react.
Just get me near a toilet.
Can you tell the difference?
I don't know if I've ever had Skyline actually. I've
Well,
never
it's
had-
I don't
very,
think
very
I've missed it,
good,
Edey.
and it's not great.
It's like Fritos and like Chef Boyardee on top.
No, dude, no. It's got the cinnamon and man, it's great. Get
Cinnamon.
the 4-way.
I visited
with
Purdue
you.
after the women's basketball team were the runner-up in 01.
Mhm.
And so we're touring campus and there's like broken glass everywhere. It's fantastic.
It's good stuff.
This is where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
We had this conversation.
I mean, that's what J
matter.
Money. Go ahead.
I went on my tour the morning after they advanced to play Duke in the '94 tournament. So I was
and it
on
was a sunny day, and there were no clouds in the sky, and we're like, "This is what it is every
the
day."
Elite
That
Eight
was
basketball team. We're just getting started here.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, that's
Been back to that pinnacle twice since then.
Yep. So you guys all feel very good. It sounds like, and to wrap it up, we've got a consensus that we all feel very good about the tournament.
Listen, I'm taking things one game at a time.
boy.
I'm only thinking about Minnesota to the point where maybe I'll have to make a pilgrimage. Who knows? We'll see. We'll have to see. It may be. It may not be. Who knows?
Meet Anish at AJ's.
But my big thing, exactly. My big thing is like, man, I got it. Like, whether it's in the regular season or in Indy or in March or no, but what stupid city is
Arizona.
Minneapolis?
the Big Ten?
Big
No,
Ten?
the Big Ten tournament.
Minneapolis.
Is it Minneapolis?
Yeah.
Minneapolis. In Minneapolis or in
You'll go
or
to
in March
Minneapolis? Is
Madness.
that what you're saying?
What?
Oh my God.
I
No,
don't-
never.
I have to go somewhere to see Zach again. Like before the
Go to
season
West
is out.
Lafayette.
Like I
Yeah,
gotta
go
see
to
him,
West
'cause this dude
Lafayette on
is
March
incredible.
2nd.
Hey, maybe. Who knows?
what's
Maybe
happening
all
on
of us
March
are playing
2nd?
in West
gonna be there?
Lafayette trips.
I'll be there.
Who knows?
Wow. Big.
I'll tell
I
you
may
this,
be-
though.
I
This
may
is
be
a
there
controversial
for the next
opinion in our
Take a look at my
group chat,
calendar.
but I have no desire to go to an NCAA tournament game.
No, that's not controversial.
It's not. While I will probably attend at least one NCAA tournament game, I completely anybody who wants to watch it in isolation and darkness in a
In a
basement.
dark room.
It was-
deprivation tank. I just want to
It
get
was-
away from everything.
I
All
get it.
noise.
I get it. What good has it ever done to watch Purdue in a high stakes game in
I
public?
cannot.
I don't want to be mad outside of my house.
Right.
Right.
irrationally too, where you're then embarrassed because
Right,
you're looking at
right.
yourself from the outside, like
And
what
you have
an
to like
asshole I am.
explain yourself to people. No, I just want to go home and I want to sit someplace dark and just think about stuff. For a while.
Exactly. Think about all my mistakes
Do
I've
some
made
thinking.
my whole life.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine how awful it was to be in Columbus last year for that game as a Purdue fan?
We came so close, man.
I know.
We were
I know.
so close
Yeah.
to going, and that would have been awful. We were pretty much like locked into the second game because it was Columbus and we were going to go, and we had a plan to convince Boyer down to make the drive like at last minute, and we were going to do it, and it didn't happen.
This has happened to us a couple times because we were going to go when they beat. If they beat St. Peter's, you and I were going to be in Philly for the Elite Eight.
Yeah, that's correct. That's
and then
correct.
where was it after? And then Final Four was in Houston, which is very close to my house.
Oh, yeah, we
Jay's
were
old
going to live
hometown.
in. We were going to live in the
Quasi-hometown.
garage. We were
You
just
were
going to
going to
live
come
in the garage.
and
And
you were
this
going to
year-
go to the game without me because there was no way. that I
Oh,
was
by the
gonna
way,
go to
guys, this is not a joke. My buddy Ron Gable's in the margin here, and he told me at the beginning of the season, I've got tickets for Columbus and Detroit, and I was like,
Indy and Detroit.
you gotta. No, I think it's Columbus. I think
He
it's
says
Columbus.
he just said it right now. NCAA is
No,
in
it's
Indy and
Indy.
Detroit. I am a glutton
Okay,
for
Indy and
punishment.
Detroit. Okay.
But he was in Columbus.
He got tickets for both of them like in November or December, I think. I was like, "Are you drunk?"
Unless
He wasn't. He's not kidding around.
So
Unless a collapse happens, it seems like Indy is gonna happen. Like it seems like Purdue is gonna get a 1 seed, and they're the only one. With
The thing
chance
that's
of
crazy
the
is
West.
Purdue's resume is already written. That's the thing. If you
It's-
look at
yeah.
last year, how they still got the 1 seed, even though they were losing like every other game,
it was already written then too.
it was written because they had so many
They're a
quad
one.
one
They're a
wins.
one. Yeah, they're quad. They're, and it's not.
And to me, they're the
one
only
games.
one that competes in the Midwest. Maybe Marquette can get there, maybe. But to me, like, lock in that Indy spot. So like
Yeah.
They're
that's
so far ahead.
I really do think that is an advantage because like it becomes Mackey. Like, but our joke is like, why don't we just play why don't we build the whole plan out of the black box? Just play all the games in Mackey. Just play the tournament in Mackey.
Simple. Solution is simple.
After these 2 years, I do think that Indy is going to be an advantage that will push kind of Purdue in a way that usually only benefits Kansas when they get Elite Eight games at Kansas, or I mean, it's Kansas City. It's not terribly far, but like, they get basically, home games for deep tournament runs. I think for us, I think the opening weekend will be played in Indianapolis unless a big thing will happen. And so at least there's some solace. I'm saying convincingly.
Yeah.
I don't.
And Jennifer has a point. Teams 4 through 7 all have 5 losses already, and that kind of cements. And they're going to lose more.
And
That's
none of
crazy.
those teams
That's
have
crazy.
the wins that Purdue has.
No,
Nor do they have the opportunity to pick up some that would put them in parity.
1 or 2.
So I actually I know that a lot of people, this goes against the way that the AP ballot usually works, but I really like the way that Gary Parrish does his, where he does not do a ballot and then a reactionary lose-win. Like if you beat a team, you jump, and if you lose, you drop, right? What he does is every day he takes a blind look at the resumes. No matter what, win or lose, no matter what, by how much, it's like you're seeding. These are the best teams.
So
This
like
is what
you could be
we've
1
done.
or 2, and you're still 1 or 2 because your resume's still good, no matter what happened to you last night. Right.
It's not like the exact. It's what Derek was talking about, which is it's not like December through February, December through March didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
And so those games, when you're rating teams and ranking teams and looking at resumes, that is what you need to look at. You need to look at resumes with a fresh eye. And to that point, Jennifer's point here is really good, which is like I didn't realize that. Like that is, like I don't know how far Purdue could fall. Actually, let's not test it, but
Who are they going to lose to?
that's like
Who would they
Yeah,
lose
my
to?
son started
Why are
asking
we
the
asking
question.
these questions?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
The
matter. I mean,
answer is
this
anyone.
isn't like a testing fate thing like that. We've seen Purdue do all sorts of things where you can play at a slow pace. You can have guys not play well. You can have guys play excellently. You can have other teams with 2 exceptions. I mean, think about what it took to beat Purdue. The statistic improbabilities it took to beat Purdue this year. Like
70% shooting from 3
Exactly.
and a half.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty
Absolutely
tough.
stupid. And they beat a team that shot 70% and a half from
Right.
Yeah.
That one is even more ridiculous.
Well, can we just look real quick? The rest of the season, you talk about Edey getting to watch these final games of Edey. He's going to eat, man. He's going to
Dude,
versus
this
Minnesota,
is why.
at Ohio State, versus Rutgers, at Michigan, versus Michigan State. Oh, all right, at Illinois, which is the one game I think they'll lose, and then versus Wisconsin.
So if there were Illinois obviously is the scariest game of the group. What's the second scariest for you guys?
Does anyone have Ken Palm up? The Ken Palm game?
Don't look at that. Don't give me the gut.
I mean,
reaction.
Illinois.
Give me the gut
Illinois,
reaction.
Michigan State are the two.
Do you say
to
Michigan
me, I'm not
State,
worried
really?
about.
Maybe at Michigan.
No, the
at
Ken
Michigan?
Palm answer was it. Yeah, exactly. The Ken Palm answer is Illinois and Michigan State. But to me, Rutgers. It's always
Yeah,
Rutgers.
Rutgers
Rutgers is
can-
always
Rutgers
like
can
this.
win
I
it back.
know that they're not good. I know that they're not good. I know that they're not good.
They still
like
got
this.
Cliff.
It's-
LBD brought up a point. They had a transfer that was activated about 2 weeks ago. I can't remember his name right now, and he's really good. And since he's
Rules make
come
no
on,
sense anymore.
it doesn't make any damn sense. Nothing makes sense anymore.
It's like you picked him up off the waiver wire.
Well,
Right.
that happened.
No,
to
it was an
Kentucky.
NCAA thing. They for some reason they decided to care about Rutgers transfer, and they bring this kid in, and they've been good since he came on.
So I'll say Minnesota has been kind of feisty.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
season.
I'm impressed.
And-
I'm impressed with
and
Minnesota.
it's not a home game. Oh no, it is a home
It
game.
is.
No, it's a home
It
game.
is
I think
home
Purdue's
game.
going to beat them by 20.
I think Purdue's going to kill him.
So I won't be cagey
No
here. The NBA All-Star Game is in Indianapolis this weekend. So my brother and I are driving up to West Lafayette on Thursday for the Purdue game because he's never been in the friendly confines of Mackey Arena.
That's incredible.
And then we will spend Friday through Sunday just walking around downtown Indianapolis pointing at NBA players. That's the plan.
That'd be cool.
It'll be fun. Yeah. It'll be fun. So shout out, I shout out to whatever Zach Edey's about to do in the back half or the last kind of stretch of this because there is no. I mean, Illinois is really good. Michigan State is solid, but Michigan State is Michigan State, but they're talented, but they're not great. I suppose the correct answer is Michigan State, but it's at home. But this slate is let Edey get to his 25 and 15 and, calmly, put away the season.
Yeah.
Right.
There were a couple Purdue fans that thought, if Edey does what he's capable of doing, which is grabbing 20 boards, he passes Joe Barry Carroll versus Minnesota in the rebound thing. I did a little, a deep on where he is on all the stats and how close he is to the top. It's really incredible. It is really incredible how good he is and how much we've all come to think 18 points and 10 rebounds. Right. That's kind of just an okay game. And it's ridiculous.
The two-man game with Braden Smith has come such a long way from last year. His passing and his trusting the other guys and the other guys delivering kind of works really well. He's got that dump-off pass really,
you know what he does
really
more than
solidly,
anything?
and then,
Manish? He knows where everybody's supposed to be on the court in a play. So that stupid thing that we all hate, when he leaves his feet and you're like, don't leave your feet. He leaves his feet, but he knows exactly where Jones is supposed to be, and he knows where Lawyer's supposed to be, and he knows where Edey's supposed to be. So it's like a quarterback going through their progressions. Bang, bang, bang. I'm going to make my decision. It's incredibly tough.
He's been good enough where you kind of have to just trust him when he does.
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
Whereas last year you were like, you clearly
Yeah.
have no idea what you're doing. Like this year, he's earned that trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Outside of Edey and Smith, who's your MVP?
Oh,
Lance.
Is that
I think it's
easy?
pretty easily
Is that
Lance.
easy?
that's easy.
yeah.
Yes.
To me, it's pretty easy.
His intangibles have just elevated this team. I loved the tech. I loved it. That was
And
awesome.
so did he.
And so did he. And
Yeah.
I love the tech. I love the dance that he did earlier this season.
He
I love
does
the
it every
energy.
game now, Michael.
He's having
It's every
a great
game.
time.
Yeah, he is.
He's having so much fun.
I'm telling you, he's
Realizing-
the Danny Hope of
And-
Purdue basketball because
and-
he thinks he's living the dream every day.
He is.
Awesome.
And he's adjusted his game. So he's been playing different than he did when he first started, which you kind of would expect for a new player, but it doesn't always like click in.
Right.
And he's I don't know, he's been fantastic.
Yep.
Just absolutely
That'll be fun.
fantastic.
The pace of play is higher because of him.
him.
Like you can point to. So again, all of those intangibles completely correct. More so to me, the fact that you need someone without a scar on the team that really wants it. Like you can't just have everybody wounded coming back and that fatalism kind of starts to settle in there.
right.
You got to have somebody good enough and kind of boisterous enough, like a kind of locker room leader enough to kind of rally everybody when when either things are on the ropes or when things are close or whatever, that will shoot that shot without any conscience, right? And so Lance Jones kind of brings all of that. The tangibles, the measurables part of this is that Purdue's pace of play is faster because of him.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody pushes the ball like he does. The 3-point percentage is real. He's a good, I think his defense, his guard defense has probably been the part that I was expecting most that has disappointed at least the most.
Yeah,
but
he
relatively,
he has his moments on the perimeter.
he has those moments where he's staying in front and you trust him in crunch time. Like in crunch time, in those few close minutes that Purdue has played, Lance Jones is always on the floor and he always delivers. To me, like it's and we say this affectionately, but Fletcher Lawyer, the backcourt partner, does not quite deliver there yet. And I do think that when Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer are upperclassmen, maybe not on the defensive side of things, but that consistency, I think they're going to deliver it. But Fletcher isn't there yet, and that's where Lance fills in. So to me, like that's why, like it's easy.
By the way, looking over the comments on the side, I actually have a good one I do want to address. But those of you who are talking about the cost of tickets at the Final Four and hotels and don't do this to yourself.
And don't do it. It doesn't make any sense.
Because the real cost is right here.
The friends we made along the way.
Exactly.
The real cost is the friends we've made along the way. That is actually super accurate. That is
the friends you've lost by going through a rage fit along
by not being able to explain your current emotional state in a way that someone can understand.
Well, by the way, one thing I love picking up on it, all these great videos that the creative team puts out are awesome. But one thing that's awesome, I'm a shoe guy, so I was looking at different players' shoes, and like I hate the fact that everybody wears different shoes. I'm old fashioned like that, which is weird as a shoe guy. But the Lance, I think he was so bothered by the way he played offensively in the first half versus IU. He switched shoes at halftime.
I love that.
Yeah, and then when he hit his three, you could tell he was like,
"I love it. Must be the wheels.
It's got to be the shoes." Exactly.
I can't.
Like, you're crazy. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
It's the right amount of insanity.
Just the right amount.
And that's why I think he's got it's to your point, right, Michael, that he's got the right amount of insanity. He's got the right amount of insanity.
Yes.
He's perfect. Yeah. He is the perfect fit. He is not the perfect player. He is the perfect fit.
Oh, completely.
Came to Purdue for free. No NIL deal in place when he came to Purdue.
Is that true?
It's true.
Wow. How the hell did you find that out? I can't find any information ever out on NIL. I do so much research and I'll find like rumor stuff. They're like, no, they gave him a pink pony and it's $7 billion. I'm like, I don't know.
We're talking Purdue, not A&M.
Right, exactly.
Well, and so honestly though, like this is kind of the argument for so first let me say, like, if you got the guaranteed bag, take it. Like, take the guaranteed bag. If somebody's promising you $800,000 to go to Miami, go and take that bag.
Worked out real well.
But there is a persuasive argument to say that one of the things that might make you a little bit more if you don't have that guarantee, if it is kind of the thing that breaks the tie, it is joining a team with a track record of success, a coach with a track record of spotlighting players, even if they just joined, that if they've earned it, right? No matter what, like Southern Illinois, and he was unranked on all of those transfer rankings, right? And he's now kind of integral in every crunch time lineup. And then, like, now I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that, like, he gets a car deal going forward, depending on how far Purdue's run goes this year. But, like, you're kind of betting on yourself here. You're betting on the team, and you're betting on the infrastructure, and it might pay off for him, like, in the end, where, like,
well, and I think, like, he's not going to play in the NBA, but he will have opportunities to play
Europe,
professional ball that I think you only get when you come to a team that's willing to integrate you like that.
Yep.
So he made the right, he bet on himself, and he absolutely made the right bet. And kudos to Painter for not chasing the big names. Or
there's really no story out there that he did chase a big name, right? There's none of that. I haven't heard one.
I think Llewellyn was the biggest one.
That's not like going after
one, but he did.
But I don't even know how serious that was.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Painter is not. He I think it's pretty clear that's not what he wants to build the program on. So, and there's no reason.
I mean, it was. I know we had Derek on kind of earlier, and maybe this was a good time. We should have brought it up then, but there was the I think it was in the Athletic story of, like, if you're wondering, or maybe it was in the Star or something, but, like, if you grew up in Indiana and you grew up wondering where Bob Knight's program has gone, like, look at West Lafayette, right? Which is like
that, right.
That's it. I thought one of them. I wanted to give them
that's
credit.
The knife twist.
I wanted to give one of them. I didn't know.
Especially when you've got Painter who wanted to go to IU. I mean, there's an alternate reality out there where we're having a much different conversation.
Right. There's all sorts of things that are like that where you're like, what if, but that's a pretty big what if. It's a program shifting what if. So.
But we all have seen that Purdue is built on some sort of cursed burial ground.
Sure.
But the way that, so if you're not going to break through when Carson is shooting lights out like this, if you're not going to break through, when, like, anything kind of happen, like, all of these, like, kind of runs happen. The only time that you're going to break this kind of curse is just if you keep knocking on the door.
Yep.
You know who you are, you know who the program is, kind of the players you're looking for, and you keep you keep building the same team, or different teams, but at the same level. I think next year will be a
very high level, very different team. Like, it's going to be very different. And like we just talked about, it's the most athletic team we've ever seen. So that's a really interesting thing that you're almost like turning the page on an entire, I don't want to say entire philosophy, but I would say early Painter time at Purdue, it was all hard defense based, right? And then there's a middle where you're like, okay, don't know exactly what's defining us right now, trying to figure out. And then it's like big men. That's the Purdue way. And next comes athleticism. Very, very, very different chapters. So I think guys like Ray Davis, he's been awesome, would say, yeah, that athleticism that this team's going to have next year is something that we've never seen at Purdue.
We'll see, but I will be seeing Zach at least one or two more.
So
times,
you have your tickets in hand already for?
I do. Awesome. I do. Yes, I've had it in hand for a while.
Very good, very good. So, like, my whole thing, my philosophy, I don't ever buy a full season again because it makes me feel like it's work, especially in the dead of winter. We haven't had a brutal winter this year where you're like driving to Purdue and drifts across 65 or whatever. That's the absolute worst. We haven't had that type of winter, which is, thank God. But it still feels like, for me, it's so hard with work and kid stuff to say, okay, I got to go to another game. But it's quite a different thing when tickets fall in my lap. So I'll get 2 to 3 tickets, and then my pals will be like, I got one for you. And like a day out, I'm like, okay, I'm lobbying. Hey, is that all right, Mrs. Boiler Dad? It's been a great season for that, But yeah, it's. I hope you get us a big resounding W with your brother. Your brother deserves to see that too. He's a good fan.
Either way, at the bucket game. That dude just
seeing a loud
man. He just sees fun when he comes
right.
up to Purdue.
That was super fun. So I hope it's not that type of fun where it's a back and forth fun. That would not be ideal.
Exactly. Blowout would be.
Yeah,
I would love it if Purdue didn't play a competitive game for the rest of the season and just won. Just
So you'd be okay with that at this point? Because we
wins.
talked about this back in December about the nightmare scenario of Purdue winning too many in a row going into the tournament. Is that too many
I
in a
don't-
row? Because that would
I
be
don't think the pressure
That- that's
doesn't
15
change.
say-
straight wins going
He
to the
didn't
Big
say
Ten tournament.
no. He didn't say Purdue plays. He said I would be happy if Purdue does not play a competitive game again. So I think that could be.
That
read
could
to
be
mean
Purdue gets blown out.
He loses to Illinois. They
you
lose to
know-
Illinois by 15, and it's not really that competitive.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would take this.
Yeah.
I would take this.
Reset the
And
clock right
then-
there. Now we start
and
again with winning.
reset the clock, and then you just you rattle
Another,
off how many-
one last
another
thing.
8-game win streak.
One
6
last
straight
thing
wins.
I did want to ask, and we can definitely do this on a future one too. Who give me a fun dark horse Big Ten tournament, since we don't care. Big Ten tournament winner.
A dark horse has to be a dark horse.
Well, a non-Purdue, non-Illinois.
non-Purdue.
Non-Purdue,
I mean, like I
non-Illinois.
think if anybody except Purdue wins, like
Like who could do it that you would be like, yeah, that wouldn't shock me, and they're otherwise
Nebraska.
like, yeah,
I was gonna say like it. I really do think that the two most dangerous teams in a single elimination tournament are the
Northwestern.
ones that can catch fire with the guards like that, and it's Northwestern and
Is there any
Nebraska, right?
about Barry?
And they've proven,
is his-
and maybe that's our scars. Like maybe that's bias
that's
and our
true.
scars kind of
Has
show.
Barry's
but,
injury
like,
been? Have they said what it was?
So that's the caveat. I think it might be. Not good.
Yeah, that's and that'd be crushing to them because he's really important and really good. But I think without Barry, I don't think they make much.
Joe
of it. I
Ensley
think
said-
Rutgers is a good.
Joe Ensley says Rutgers. I like Rutgers because that would also upend the apple cart of Big Ten getting teams in, because then you have to let Rutgers in because they get the auto bid because of the stupidity of the NCAA tournament.
There's only been one team that earned their way into the tournament and the championship, right? Michigan, is that true? And they lost. Don't you agree?
What do you mean, Michigan?
Like they got
No,
so
they-
Michigan was like a 7 seed when they went through
And won the
Purdue
tournament.
and lost in the championship. Is that right? Am I remembering this correctly? When they skidded off the runway, they beat Purdue in that tournament. They made the dance, and a lot of people thought they were a bubble team coming in. That to me looks like a team that earned their way into the tournament in the Big Ten
Yeah,
tournament.
it's exceedingly
Generally,
rare. But I don't know if I would say
exceedingly
that.
rare. It generally doesn't affect anything in the Big Ten. Like as Purdue fans, we've watched it. It doesn't
No,
matter
but I
if you
think
win
there
or
are
lose.
teams that solidify their chance of getting in by having a good, like we win a game or two in the Big Ten tournament.
And usually in the Big Ten, it's seeding.
Yeah,
right?
I think you
you
can-
rarely go from bubble
Right.
to
Yeah, you
there.
don't go
Like
from
I think
not
Penn
in to
State
in.
may have made a run back in the day when they had like battle or whatever. Like, but again, those are the guards. So like to me, like I could see Bowie doing it.
Didn't
like,
win.
Bowie's bad.
Tell me,
That's a bad
tell me I'm
dude.
wrong. When Minnesota made their, was it Minnesota? I think it was Minnesota made a mini run. Or was it Nebraska that made a mini run, and everybody thought they'd get in because they got to the semifinal,
And they didn't make it.
and they didn't make it.
Yeah.
Under Patino, under Little Patino.
I think
Right?
that's true. I think
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Minnesota under Little
Yeah,
Patino.
and
That's
like,
right.
and to me, that's typical. Like, I don't think anybody cares about the Big Ten tournament, and I don't think anybody cares about tournaments. How about that? That's the name.
Conference tournament.
Conference
We're-
tournament.
Well, no, I mean we're Purdue fans. It's the
Nobody
other.
cares
We,
about
we
that.
beat you to it.
Sadly, I care way too much. Like I care way too much. But I don't know what I really don't know what else you're supposed to do in this era.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The advice at the end of this podcast is go see Zach Edey. Just go see Zach
That's it.
Edey because
Yep.
we're not. This is it. Time
Purdue-
to-
Three times in Mackey. That's it. 3 times left.
That's
That's what he got
crazy,
left.
man.
Yeah.
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 You were talking about this earlier today. That's just
That
like-
game against
that's
that
crazy.
game, Zach Edey's senior day against
That's
Wisconsin.
gonna be awesome.
It's going to be awesome, and they're going to beat Wisconsin by 1 billion.
Yeah, they're gonna beat him senseless.
I hope so.
No hopes. They're going to
They
kill
will.
them that night. Oh my god!
I mean, I don't.
Talk about skidding off the
Wisconsin has been
runway,
absent
Anish.
from this. I think we were making fun of Boiler Dad and Little
When
Boiler
were we?
Dad earlier about a month ago, or maybe more than that, for counting losses when Wisconsin was making the run. I don't believe, and I'm happy to be wrong. I don't believe in this Wisconsin team at
No,
all.
I don't either.
I think Guard is a fine coach. I think Guard is okay. I just don't. This Wisconsin team does not have the juice, man.
Right. Right.
They've
Like,
shown it.
and they might be Purdue, they might go whatever. I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah. So go see Zach. That's the moral of today. All of today's Bullet Sports media.
It's going to be
is
many
that this
monies
dude
though. That's the
is
problem you've got
incredible.
now. It's you're
It's worth
gonna
it, man.
you're gonna spend what 150 at least starting.
It's not, it's not like, Purdue's got, a 5-star prospect, nephew of the greatest professional basketball player in the state of Indiana coming next year, where you have to spend your money on
Yeah, there's
seeing
more coming.
catchings. But so yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the future.
Right.
Worry about the
Now,
present. You.
man.
It's if the itch happens, just scratch it, man. Just scratch the
Yeah,
itch.
yeah.
It'll go. It's fine.
It'll be electric in there, and the paint crew's been bringing it all season. They've been awesome. So that was. There's so many good visuals the other night. I can't get over that stuff. I wish I didn't eat it up and just revel in it for 2-3 days afterwards. But I always.
Why would you wish you didn't do that? That's great.
I don't know. It's like it was.
You're enjoying the ride.
I am enjoying the ride. That's true. I'm following my own advice, but I'm like IU, mediocre team. You should beat IU badly, and Purdue didn't play that well, and they still beat them up. So that's that's fun. So well, guys, we are well past an hour in this handsome basketball beat, and thanks to everyone for tuning for being here. We had LBD here. We had Derek Schultz here, and we had Michael here. One of the funniest sidebars I got to tell you about this. My nephew, they were getting a little ice cream after watching Fisher's High School upset number 1 LN. They're number 2, and they were tuning in live to the basketball beat. And my nephew says, "Who's that guy?" And I almost told this story with that guy here. And my son said, "That's Michael." He said, "Who's Michael?" It's great. I love it. But for those of you who don't know who Michael is, you haven't been. I guarantee you there are people that haven't seen Michael before because our numbers show there have been some new viewers and listeners. Yeah. So Michael Michael and Anish were a tandem before they came on Boiled Sports on their own show, and there's now a star.
Michael had a different, but he's the host of this. Michael's the host.
Yeah, this is his show, and now he's gone.
He's hosted every week. He's just sometimes he's silent more than others. Just like now, he's here in spirit.
Yeah.
But I think an hour 45. I think we've done.
I think we have, and I appreciate. If you're still listening, God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to my co-host Jay, Anish, and Michael, who is here in spirit. I love you guys. Good night.